We're excited. I've lost count of how many days we've been going. I'm going to bring on a guy named Rob Jenkins. He's been doing the program since one of the first couple of days. I don't think he started the first day, but maybe like day 2 or 3. Whatever day this is, if it's your 5th day or first day or whatever, it's 90 days in a row. Rob hasn't missed a day. Another guy, attend yesterday, and he's like, I don't know. I don't know if I liked it. I'm like, you're not supposed to like it. You're checking in with the attendance tracker. I was up all night the other night. I think he was just messing with me too. But it's tough it can be tough to get up and work and do 3 hours of work and get that out of the rest of your day so that you can have a full work day. You can see your family. You can work on community events. You can, invite one friend a day. You can do all the commitments. You can have a pretty rounded life and still shoot for the moon for, big projects that you're working on. Rob's going to come on. We're going to talk about what he's been working on. So here he is. Hey, Rob. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
The microphone's not working.
Oh, my.
Rob's a mortgage or a loan officer with Movement Mortgage. Yeah, it's not whatever setting you did just most recently.
Test.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Reset for some reason. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah, so I know, I think when you saw maybe my post on Facebook, and you had mentioned you've been getting up early, but like 5 o'clock, and we're like, hey, let's do 4:30. Let's get 3 hours of work. And sounded like it resonated with you. You've checked in every day with the attendance tracker, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been good. It was I don't know how I saw. I guess I saw the post, and it was in the evening, and then I was having a difficult time with it started off when I saw also the Moonshot idea. There were certain parts of the business that I was working on, besides being, busy with work. You also mentioned about, stealing time from in the evening time and the lifestyle framework. So there was a couple of things that tied together there at the same time. And I have a family, so I got one in college, and then I have 2 still in high school. And then my wife also works. So getting that additional half hour, which really looking at it, I was, recently prior to that, I was getting up, 5 o'clock, but prior to that, it was really like 5:30, 5:45. Mm-hmm. So starting the day at 4:30 was a big jump. So you crunched the numbers, quickly, and I was like, gosh, man, that's a lot of time, and then really it was double what you mentioned, because I was actually, recently before, like, I was up at 5:30, 5:45. So I started at 5, and then I just looked at like, hey, I was still in a bit of a rush. Yeah. So even though it's tough waking up early, I think this is really the first time I've talked to anybody in the morning time. Yeah. I was really listening to you and get moving. It's been a good transition just to get the day going, and starting with the fitness right after we get done. After we get done here.
But I think that half hour we looked at was 22 8-hour work days across the year. And if it was an hour, it's, you're looking at 44, 45 actual 8-hour work days. It's insane when you add it all up. And for me, and the accountability of being, so I'm up at 4:05. I used to snooze. I would snooze, and I was at my desk at 4:30, but I wasn't organized. Now I don't snooze. And that's been amazing just in this short period, because I get to my desk, I get prepared, I go make my coffee, get things, all set up for when we're done here. I jump right into something. And since we've started, I've written 40 SEO optimized blog posts, which are amazing for traffic for our site. So it's been insane. I was doing like 1 or 2 a month, and now I've done 40 in I don't know. I think it's like 15 days. So what are you working on?
Yeah, good question. It was a combination. So, like I mentioned, the number one thing was getting up early and getting started. And I'm getting more organized, like you mentioned, coffee going, the working out and everything. Those were things that I needed to get done before. I was always in a rush before the kids came down in the morning. So I wanted to get started on the moonshot idea and just
Mhm.
the business development strategy. So most common was I'm a member of Buy Referral Only. It's one of the coaching systems for real estate agents and lenders,
Sure.
and I've been a member since 2005. Um, so
Can I
getting started.
can I ask you something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, do you have a lot of ideas from that program that you've never implemented just because you couldn't fit it in?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times, just dipping the toe in the water. Where when I had more support, when I had my own company, I had someone that could do certain things for
Yeah.
me, whether it was in marketing, IT. But as a solopreneur, even though I work for a larger company now and I
Mhm.
have a team within that, I found that I just could not get things implemented that I was looking to do.
Yeah.
And some of it was just installing systems to to provide a better experience, or like you with the search optimization. For me, it was more client experience and business development.
Yeah.
So it did.
It's interesting. I was writing a book and listened to a podcast of a guy who has one of the biggest teams in the country, and he was talking about his origin story and how he was hands on in the lead generation activities that I paid a company to do for us. And he's got 185 people on his team, him and his partner Deborah. And I stopped everything. That's when I was like, I got to go super deep. And I spent these morning hours. I spent over 5 months on learning pay-per-click ads on Google, so that I could then hire somebody out. So we have employees in India that I can direct, but I know it at like a detailed level. And it took, I mean, it took five. I lost track. It was like 5 or 6 months, somewhere maybe like 5.5 months, and that was my every morning project. Now I can do really high converting. I know at a very detailed level Google ads, and then I moved on. Now I moved
Yeah.
on to SEO and YouTube. But that's one of the things. Like shortly, you're gonna have to like you'll pick something and then you'll dig into it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So it's been a little bit broad in getting into the routine. I
Yeah.
mean, we all get up, I've always been a morning person, but not necessarily, 4:30.
Yeah.
But the shifting forward, and Ron, you mentioned early on about just not stealing time away from family. That's one part. So I
Yeah.
shifted, and I'm grabbing the time in the morning.
Yeah.
The other part was, some of the business administration stuff that I can do earlier in the morning, because that, when I was doing those things, at times it would come up in the first part of the day. And that would be when that would be taken from business development activities.
Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, you're at the top of your work pyramid is lead generation, is staying in contact with your agents, right? With stopping in offices, and when you're got a crowded morning of admin stuff that you could have done hours earlier, you can go back to all those activities. Without those activities, you're not going to grow.
yeah. Yeah.
Y-
Yeah,
y-
and some of the focus I had was, it was a little bit different. I do have, most of my business comes from my relationships with past clients. I've been in the business since 1994, so there's that. Then it was just more of, you mentioned like things specifically working on was, I often offer workplace education through real estate and mortgage education and financial literacy and empowerment. So helping employers and their employees. A lot of my clients have been businesses over the years.
Nice.
So then it was a matter of like, okay, how do I create landing pages,
Yeah.
QR codes, those were things where I have a company that helps me with that, but
Hmm.
um, you know, making sure that those things are prepared, and
Yeah.
that, that's outside of what I would normally do in my typical role.
Same. The 430 cycle landing page I did in ClickFunnels.
Wow.
I didn't hire anybody. I did all of that. I did all of the images are from Canva. Learned that. Um, it's tough. Like when you have a crowded morning, you got to see you got to see realtors, you got to do your admin, you got to do transaction, all of these things, and like to stop your brain to say, okay, I got to learn Canva. But I tell you, you can learn Canva in 2 hours. So like it's really. I used to have to. I talked about it yesterday. I was like, I used to have to wait days for somebody to get me these images back, and constantly generating, things that I wanted. And now it's simple. It's like you watch a YouTube video for like 40 minutes, and then it's easy. ClickFunnels, not as easy, but not that difficult to learn. And the podcast I was listening to is a guy named Gary Ashton. Came across as very techie that's grown into being able to hire really good people and hold them accountable to stuff he knows at a very granular level. And I'm like, that's the thing that I'm going to do, so as we're ramping back up and building our marketing infrastructure, we have a YouTube channel now and the SEO and the pay-per-click, and obviously like we're event driven. So a lot of our, we nurture past clients. We do a ton of events. We were up to, before COVID, we were doing 17 events a year. So we do all these other things, but these are columns that I was really wanted to build. And I was also writing about, so I was like, now I can speak about them firsthand. Like, so my very last book will be about these advanced concepts in our business. And the ones I wasn't doing, I'm doing now. So it's all kind of wraps together and getting amazing results. Our SEO traffic is like this. It was like,
wow.
So we're getting just as much traffic value as what we're paying for, and it's supposed to explode over the next 30 days with all of the work that we've been doing and how everything's rising up. So
yeah, well, I don't know, not having the interruptions, by you starting your day at 4:30. I can only imagine if your day, leading a team and having your own business and trying to do what you're doing now at, 8:00 in the morning in your office with a team, whether it's remote or not, I imagine would be very difficult. So that uninterrupted time is great.
Oh, it's insane. I can't, like, when we're done, I'm going right into something I've had, I'm excited about. Something insane is happening with our SEO content because it's getting indexed in like 2 days. Like YouTube videos, it's insane. It gets indexed in 5 minutes. But something recently in the last day has happened with our site where it's achieved some form of acceptance in the Google world, where we're getting pages like blog pages indexed within days. It used to take months. Something. I don't know. I don't understand. I have to figure out like how our content is getting indexed so fast now. And it just happened. I just actually recognized it yesterday. I went back and looked at the last like 5 days of content that we've delivered, and it's showing up and like, up top. Like it's insane.
It doesn't anything related to the activity that you have like on Restream or
no.
No. Wow.
Well, I mean, we are doing a ton of backlinking and cross-linking and linking within blog posts to our pages, and it's this cascading pyramid of content. I think it has something to do with that. I think it has something to do with possibly with the way that Google values a domain. So like I think our content is really good, and it meets all the check boxes of what it likes to rank. So I feel like there's some kind of internal score that speeds things up a bit, because it's just I'll figure it out. Like I'll Google it and figure out that there's something that happens, and it's happening. So it's a really, really cool thing, because that's SEO content can take 2-3 months to work its way up top if done right. Now it's happening in days. So that's pretty exciting.
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
But yeah, it's exciting. I, when I get off these, I see a handful of people's attendance trackers that come in that, we'll have, I'm thinking next week or, yeah, probably next week we'll have a handful of people on at the same time and just share ideas. That was the whole idea.
Yeah. Well, the accountability, through one thing that I noticed with this is that during the changing markets, and during when things are not as easy, is when I typically would reach out and lean into like personal growth or, just things of that nature.
Yeah.
The accountability, do partners, and which I'm familiar with. And the accountability was resonating, and accountability partner, but that was, it was evident by getting up at 4:30 and having that additional time, leaning into the personal growth, being up early, not necessarily just when things are a little bit slower,
And because you can go to bed and sleep well knowing you're doing everything you possibly can to advance your business at a time where a lot of people are struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love a handful of motivational speakers. I'm not a motivational speaker. I don't aspire to be a motivational speaker. I'm more of an accountability partner. And that's what I say is like, get your motivation somewhere, and then I'll hold you accountable to fitting in everything they're teaching you. Every time you've come back from a convention, all jazzed up about doing all these things, but never created a framework to fit it in. This is that.
Yeah.
So I play that role. There's a lot of shit coaching out there too. There's a lot of people that talk about stuff but don't have any really good way to fit it in, or even talk about fitting it in, right? Like, how do you
well, the no one talks really, not no one, the folks that I think I've had some really good coaching over the years, personally and professionally. No one really talks about the lifestyle framework though. And that to me also tied it in, like, okay, no, man, you don't want to, after the years, like with all the years of putting in, long extended days, and then having, my family is now a little bit older than your little guy, but that time is even more precious, when they get older. So but it works equally. The lifestyle framework part of it was like, hey, you got to really we've always talked about prioritizing, but how do you prioritize without compromising? Not, this is doing more than one thing at once. It's time.
So my number one, he's on a project, but my son Flynn is my number one priority. And Sunday or Saturday, I've had a sick dog keep me up, going to, and he got tubes in his ears. So he's been getting up at weird times, but he got up at 5:30 on Sunday, and I had a whole morning of stuff, but instantly I take him, and I'm super cool to be up and not tired. And that's, if he's sick and he gets up, and instantly my focus. And it's really cool to, not, if I was normally getting up at 8:30 and had to get up at 5:30, that would be a struggle. I'm up, I'm ready to roll. I am on call father, dad, ready to roll. So that's real easy.
Yeah.
My wife does. Yeah,
it's great. I was away this past weekend, lacrosse. It was a prospect day for colleges and stuff for my son, and I was up at 4:30. That normally wouldn't. I'm an early riser, like I mentioned, but I wouldn't be up at 4:30, and so that allowed me to get my fitness in. It didn't compromise. I engaged with my son's activities, and I engaged, but this was more like I was more present than what I would normally be, because on Saturday and Sunday I was up at closer to 4:15, but the 4:30 I was on. So
well, it's 4:39. I see the attendance tracker email come in, and it's awesome. It's, for me, it's become a habit now, which it's locked in. Just, I got a couple, like, I don't eat till 11 o'clock, and somebody had some really nice looking food in this morning. They're like, you want something? I'm like, it's just not, I don't eat now. Like, that became a habit as well. But it's cool to see it becoming a habit for you. And
thank you.
Yeah,
good stuff. I appreciate it.
Definitely. So next week, I'm going to have a handful of people on next week. We'll figure out what day. Have a great day. Get a lot of work done.
Okay. Have a great day.
See ya.